Hello everyone, this is my web technology lab experiment number 7. So what do we have to design today is we have to design a working model. We'll be using PHP. What is PHP? PHP is a server-side scripting language. Like we have HTML, CSS to design a web page. In order to process the data at the backend, we use a scripting language called PHP. There are other scripting languages. PHP is one of them. So what do we have to design today is we have to design this web page wherein we'll ask the user to select any that he wants to pick among them, and then use radio buttons and check boxes to know what value he wants to show, and then drop down menu. What we have to do is we have to create a mini Flipkart, like you could say. What we do is we select the items we want to buy, and then we have a shipping details. What does shipping details do? We add a name, we add a last name, where do we have to deliver, and all that thing. And then when we continue with that, we get an order summary. So this is all we have to do. We have 3 pages that we have to design. One is the initial page to select, second is the shipping details, and third is the order summary. So I've already written code for this. Now if you see, there's something called post or get. So what is this? This an HTML form can return data to another file either through post method or to get method. Now what is post? Post is when you encrypt the data that you're sending to another file. You see in this URL you have some content that is sent. It says it's from plugin PHP, some number and content and what it is. Now rather than all these details, this is get method wherein we can see what we are doing, our actions in our URL. But post method encrypts these data and sends it in an encrypted form which is not readable by any human. So post is used when we have to pass passwords or PIN numbers to another server. So that is post. And we will be coming across another term called session. Now what is session? Session is to tell the user that it is a particular, to tell the server, to tell the website that it is a particular user that is logged in. Now whenever you see, if you have a customized website, you will see your name, welcome XYZ, whatever your name is. So that is using session attribute. So I have already designed the web page. Now these are all CSS styling in order to enhance our web page. Then we have what we have to select. So if I run this thing, we are using NetBeans, and when we run this file, I have now this is just a name of Flipkart logo, or you can name it anything. And then you have cloth type, whether I want to go with women wear or gents wear. Now I prefer to go for women wear. And second thing, now if you see, this is a checkbox. Now how do I retrieve data from a checkbox? So if you have a checkbox, multiple checkbox, so what we do, we name each. How do we name each checkbox? When we create a checkbox for HTML, we name them of same values. So we give them, and it has to be in a form of array, and then our value and whatever data we have, a label to it. And then in the PHP side, what we have to do is we have to, since we are using post and then the name, and we have to use a for each or a for loop to retrieve all the data that has been selected by the user. So that is how we retrieve the data, and we can echo it, or we can keep it selected. We can hold the data, and that would represent all the data that the person is selected from the checkbox. The next you see over here is a radio button. So if I want to buy top, it has to be either top or pant or decorative, whatever we want. Now if I suppose to buy a top, so how do I retrieve data from a radio button? Radio button, again we have the same name for each and every one, but this is not going to be an array, it's simply going to be any name. And then when we submit it, how do we retrieve data is by simply using post and the attribute, the name in it. So you get, if you're selecting only one, that is why you're just using one name, and you will retrieve the value that you have selected. then after that, if you see, this is a quantity, whatever you want. If suppose I want 3 tops, and if suppose my size is medium, and if I go type, I want to go for a gift session, so I select whatever. Now this is a drop down, both a drop down. So how do I get value from a drop down list? So here we have a drop down select option. Drop down list is created using select option. So how do I retrieve data is again in the drop down, we're just going to select only one value like we had in radio button. So we're just going to give our name in that post value and get the selected data. Now how do I get from the text box? Simply by writing post and the name. So it's going to be just similar to this. It's just going to be $_post and the name of the text box. Now coming to the application, so we retrieve data, and when we click next, it's going to go for shipping information. Now suppose I give my information some any values, and then my last name, my street address, my city if I say, and then zip code, and phone number, and email ID. Now if you see, there's a condition of email ID which says it has to be in the form pattern of @someorganization.org. that is used by, that you can create by using pattern, or you can just set your type to be email. So and whatever value you see, the background is given using placeholder. Now I want to go for a standard, and this is again a radio button. We already saw how we have to retrieve data, and when we press continue, it takes us to the order form. So what actually happens is, like I explained how we have to retrieve the data from text box, from check boxes, the similar thing has happened at the backend. If you see my code, all my data, I am sending it to this is the form that we have designed, right? So all of the data that we have, it's going to be sent to the next page. If you see here, if you see my form action, it has been sent to another page, page 2. So what happens in page 2 is, I'm going to retrieve my data. Now is set is a function which ensures that your details are retrieved only after you set the value for it. So what happens over here, it retrieves the data. Now this is for the check boxes, then you have for text quantity, and then for the radio button, then for the size, and for the type of it. So that is how we retrieve data from the other hand. And it's going to be so all of this over there, you're going to store the value for it. And then order summary. How do I create order summary? Now as I told you, session is used to hold the data, to tell the website that it is only the particular user who is going to apply for it, who has applied for the order. So similarly, we have used a session to retrieve the data. Now what I have done is I've assigned each value, whatever it is, to each one name. Now this can change. It can change if you want to save it as anything. Whatever you change, that is how you will retrieve the value from it. So once it's saved over there, over here I've assigned session for each, set size, I've talked about colors. So that's how I assign that for my particular values, these are the values, and I retrieve them back to the table using session. So that is all for lab experiment 7. We spoke about and yeah, there's another important thing about redirecting. What is redirecting is, if you see, I had page 3, then page 2. How do I have this redirection is through assigning the header location. So if I tell you, we have not enabled the back. If you see, this doesn't work because I haven't redirected by hand. I've just redirected in the front. So if I add header, when I press the back key, it's going to redirect to the next page. So that is what we use using header location in PHP. This is the code for session. $_ session name equal to whatever value we have to assign. Thank you.